back. It's time for us to have a conversation about something that's really, really important. Today is World Cerebral Palsy Day, and the awareness for cerebral palsy is absolutely critical for us to keep pushing. I have in studio with me Farida Bedwei, who is a disability rights advocate and a tech entrepreneur. I also have Awadzi. She is a mother of a child that is living with cerebral palsy. And I also have been joined by Dr. Hilda Boye, who's a pediatrician and the CEO of JH Health Connect. We're going to have an interesting conversation this morning. The hashtag is Breakfast Daily. Then WhatsApp line is 0550-585-832. We'd like you to engage with us. If you have any questions for them, we'll be right here to put it to them and they'll answer for us. Good morning to all of you ladies.
Good morning.
How are you?
Fine, thank you.
It's good to have you here. All right, so World Cerebral Palsy Day. Let me start with Dr. Boye. What is cerebral palsy, first of all, and why is it important for us to have a day to have an awareness of it?
So cerebral palsy is a condition or a disorder that affects people, and the main problem there is that there's a problem with the movement and the posture that they have, and often it's because there has been some damage to the brain which is developing, so usually occurs before the age of 2 years. So people with cerebral palsy have difficulty moving and they have problems with their posture. They may also have some form of intellectual disability or learning impairment. They may have seizures or epilepsy. They may also have hearing impairment, visual impairment, or other difficulties like that.
Okay, let me come to you, Farida. You have been living with this for how long?
41 years.
Wow. 41 years.
Yes.
So, give us a gist. What has that been like?
I don't know anything else, so it would be difficult for me to compare. Yeah. But I would like to make a slight correction to what the doctor said, because I'm not sure there are some people living with cerebral palsy who have learning disabilities, but the numbers are really low, because the problem is that because they cannot express themselves, you don't know what they are capable of doing. And some of them are pretty smart. I mean, can you imagine if I couldn't express myself? You not know my capabilities. So I mean, it has its challenges, especially as you grow older, because a lot of study and a lot of concentration is being done on the children. But the doctors and the researchers forget that the children grow up. I don't know whether they expect us to all die before the age of 20 or something, because there's no research. There's not research or anything for what to expect as you grow older.
As you grow older,
because as I grow older, I realized that so right now I have osteoarthritis, which is a result of bad posture over the years. The wear and tear of my joints are 4 times faster than you guys, so I will age faster in terms of my bones and all that. So those are some of the things that happen. That we should be made aware of. So please go back and tell your medical professionals that we don't die as children. We grow up to be adults.
Definitely, and it's
very important for us to know what to expect.
And we are here to help you grow old too. So
let me come to Hannah. What is the situation like? When did you first find out that this was the condition that your child had?
I found out when she was 9 months old. She wasn't sitting, and her neck wasn't getting stable. So I went to the hospital and I was told she may have a mild form of cerebral palsy. That was how I found out about it.
How did that feel like?
How did I feel like? Immediately, I didn't feel anything.
You were not aware of what it was?
No, I knew Farida.
Okay.
I knew Farida way before I got married and gave birth. So when I heard cerebral palsy, I knew there was someone I've heard that has cerebral palsy before, but I couldn't immediately connect that this is it. So I think what we did was, I think we went home and my husband went online to check. And I didn't want to hear anything about it at all because it sounded scary. But with time, I mean, I learned to connect to what it was and then...
What's the journey been like? How old is your child now?
My daughter is 7 years old.
7 years old?
Yes.
Okay.
The journey is a lot of fights because many people do not understand first the condition, but also the need for the child to be included. And that is why Farida is saying they are not. If I didn't know Farida, I'll possibly be part of the statistics that kill their children because I only wanted to see something, hope, someone who is there with cerebral palsy or something to be sure that, okay, so my daughter could live and other things. But there's very scanty information in terms of hope out there. All you see is that people kill their children, their river children and all those things. You don't see the other side, the Farida side of the story. So for me, because I knew her, it was something that made me overcome the gloom quickly to pick up.
So let me ask you, before I come to Doctor, what do you think needs to be done? What can we do as a people, as a society?
I think the first thing we need as a society is acceptance. And when I say acceptance, it's not just seeing the person and saying, oh, hi, I want my daughter to go to school. It is a big issue. I mean, private schools will look your daughter in the face and say, we can't take a child like this here. She's not working. I mean, you go begging and they don't have any facility for the child. Nobody understands her. I keep telling people that my daughter is not intellectually disabled. She's very intelligent. If she stays with you, you will know that she knows.
She can think.
But even our assessment center, our Ghana Educational Service Assessment Center, doesn't have an expert who can assess her intelligence. No, so she's just brushed off. So the biggest thing we need is facilities, maybe a one-stop rehabilitation centers all over the place where people can comfortably leave their children with cerebral palsy and work. Because we are forced to stop working once and you need money to take care of a child with cerebral palsy. But all they tell you is, do this, go for physio, do that, as if money will drop for you to do it.
Doc, in terms of the system that we have in Ghana, you know the system better than a lot of people. What is it that, where are the challenges in terms of, is it the training of doctors? We don't have enough. What's the issue with the system?
Well, this is a big.
Oh, it's a lot.
It's a lot, and honestly, her story very touching, but similar to many others in a similar situation, or children with other forms of different abilities or issues that we have to deal with. Acceptance is the way to go. And let me also say prevention is another way to go. Now, prevention is really a big thing because...
What's prevention?
Prevention of the problem or whatever leads to them having cerebral palsy. So we know, for instance, that in Ghana, the severe form of neonatal jaundice or the newborn jaundice, that's the yellowing of the eyes of the baby during the first few days of life or within the month of life, is the commonest cause of cerebral palsy in Ghana here. That we know. You see, and this kind of jaundice is jaundice that once you spot early, it can be treated and the child will be prevented from developing cerebral palsy. There are other causes that could occur when the mother, for example, is pregnant, and that one, it may be difficult to pick up, but once the baby is born, this jaundice can be picked up and dealt with quickly. And so again, we keep on telling mothers and healthcare workers that no matter where you are, teach these mothers to recognize the yellowing of the eyes and to seek help early. And when they come to you, don't say that it will go. A few may go, but many may not go. And unfortunately, if we have one child dying from severe neonatal jaundice, that's one too many. If we have one developing a disability because of having had severe neonatal jaundice, that's one too many. Again, in the first few months of life, illnesses like meningitis or trauma, meningitis like infections around the brain, trauma like the child falls, the head hits the ground, things like that, they can all predispose or cause the child to have the cerebral palsy. So prevention is one big aspect of it. So let's identify the things that can cause our children to develop cerebral palsy and try and prevent them. If you know you are preparing to get pregnant, for example, see a doctor. Let the pregnancy be followed up and deliver in a hospital. Let the follow-up also be done by qualified people. And that's why our healthcare workers, we keep saying that sunbathing or the put your baby under a sun is no longer used. You have to see the child, assess the level of the jaundice or the yellowness, and follow up. If the child needs the phototherapy light, you put the baby under the light and you follow up. Make sure the lights are working though, not that you're just putting them there and leaving them there. So good follow up. So this is one bit. Now, if for some reason this child develops the cerebral palsy, maybe we know what may have contributed to it, maybe we don't know. We have to start early rehabilitation. So the rehabilitation, the physiotherapy that was spoken about, occupational therapy, all to help so that the movements, at least they are able to have as much function as possible, with the physiotherapy and with the occupational therapy. Now, for us, the medics, the pediatricians, and those who put it together, if there's, for example, seizures or epilepsy, we treat it. So we give them medication so that they are able to have fewer or no seizures at all. Now, aside this, if there's any other problem that develops along the line, we help to manage it. Social support or clinical psychology support for the caregivers or the parents is really important. This is a big diagnosis. It is not a small diagnosis. It's a diagnosis that can change the dynamics in the family. Some people will divorce their spouses and suddenly say that if you are Busiam or it's from your home, it is your fault. We don't have some in our home. You know that kind of. And unfortunately, men can run away. You didn't hear that from me.
Farida, let me come to you. I want you to talk to us about some of the challenges as you grow older. Having lived with it for so many years, what are some of the things, and then what is it that's lacking in our system by way of amenities and so on? And I mean, I'm sure you, in your advocacy, there are things that you're calling for. And what are some of those things you can share with us?
Before I do that, let me touch on another thing that the doctor said. When it comes to prevention, mine was caused by jaundice because of the blood groups of my parents. There's something called the rhesus factor, and a lot of people are not aware of that. Rhesus factor, So please educate the people who come when they get pregnant about the blood group. Most people do not even know what their blood groups are. So I got it. That is what caused my neonatal jaundice. But unfortunately, I was also born with a blocked intestine. So I had to be operated when I was 2 days old. So I was in the incubator for 6 weeks, and by that time they could not do the phototherapy until it was too late. So it was a series of events that caused my situation. So sometimes it's just not preventable because the child comes with more than one problem. So you have to, So with regards to growing up, I mean, obviously, Ghana is not the most disability friendly place. Your body itself is not disability friendly. And I told you that I'll call you out on that Citi FM.
Well, I was kind of expecting that.
I'm quite disappointed. But hey, when the government is not making it a law, I think it's difficult.
So you think we need legislation to make sure that all...
Now it goes beyond legislation, because I think the legislation is there, but the enforcement is the problem. In Ghana, we have the best laws. As for laws and policies, we know how to write it. Yes.
The best laws are there.
But the implementation is always a problem, because there's no political will or whatever to implement it. So I think that is the major problem. And I always say that when it comes to inclusive education, believe me, if the government had pursued inclusive education the way they pursued free SHS, by now we would have made a huge inroad in
so inclusive education, as in don't separate the children who have disabilities. Let them all be part of the system.
I always say, so I using myself as an example. I went to mainstream school back in 1991 when there was no inclusive education.
Wow. So it means it's possible.
It's possible.
Okay.
It's possible.
Doctor, what is this?
On the inclusive education thing. So I think that what we do is that we've lumped all disabilities together. So when you say your child has cerebral palsy, people say go to Jolu Special School. When you go to Jolu Special School, the children you see there are children with Down syndrome, mostly, and then a bit of autism and mild cerebral palsy. So my daughter doesn't have any intellectual disability, and she can follow, even though she doesn't talk eligibly.
So that's a completely wrong school for her.
If you put her there now, you are getting her to, and I got to know that getting her together with other children helps, because when she was a year old, I had the son, you know, so they are two together, and my son was walking, and it was only when I saw my son playing with her and that I saw her crawling one time. I haven't gone to the physios. I have done things by myself in the house. But my daughter crawls now, hold on to things to stand. Because she's among children. And she plays with them. So separating them
is what is actually causing a problem.
You have to know what is wrong and whether she can be included. And if she can be included, that is why the policy is there for her to be in mainstream school.
You wanted to say something.
So I like how she explained it, because we have different kinds of disabilities and then we have different severities. Now, if we say that we are doing inclusion or inclusive education, it will definitely have its pros and cons, and maybe on another forum we can go into that and bring the stakeholders together. Because if you are not careful, you advantage one and disadvantage the other, and it's quite intensive too. And for example, children who have cerebral palsy as a result of the severe neonatal jaundice often have their cognition or their learning abilities intact. So apart from the physical things that are the posture, the movement problems, their learning is so we have to be able to distinguish between these people. Otherwise, it may be a bit difficult, and the teachers trained, for example, to be able to handle all these children. So this is really a big thing, and I think that there have been some discussions in the past. I know Paediatric Society of Ghana, where I'm a strong member, we've done some work in the past. We've done some sessions on disability, on inclusion, and also I think it's something that the country has to take up again and look at holistically. Even if we are saying that, okay, we are not going to go full inclusion for everything, maybe this is how we are going to do it, so that people are not disadvantaged, so that children who have specific or different abilities are also given education, because everybody needs education, and education will definitely improve the outcome for everyone, even including the country as a whole.
Fantastic. Yes, final words. We're wrapping up now. Just wrap up for us.
Now, with regards to the inclusive education, I fully agree, because I don't believe in children just being put in the school just take up space. So I advocate that, look, the children have to be learning something. Otherwise, there's no point in them being in the school. So for me, I think that yes, the assessment should be done on the child. If the child is mentally able to compete and with their peers,
then they should be there.
They put them in the school. And I always say that, look, we have a lot of unemployed nurses and things. They can be employed to be aides in the school, to help some of these children with disabilities.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Yes.
So, for example, we've
run out of time.
You put me here to tell me run out of time.
No, we definitely have to have you back, okay? And have
I'd like to include parents in decisions, in discussions. They discuss for us.
This is important.
As if we don't know anything about it.
All right, I want to say a big thank you to all of you ladies. Thank you to you, Farida, to Hannah, and then to Hilda Boye. So Farida is a disability rights advocate and a tech entrepreneur. And also Hannah is a mother of a child that's living with cerebral palsy. We also have Dr. Hilda Boye, who is a pediatrician.